Hello everyone, it's me the Boss Hog and we're back with another video, this time on our income and costs over the last month, February 2024. Now this video is slightly out of order in terms of the plan, so this was originally meant to be a Hollywood Bowl stock analysis, but I'm having a bit of an audio issue on that at the moment, so apologies, but I've switched this around at least to keep on track. That aside, it's been an interesting month, one or two interesting developments, so we're just going to walk through them and explain what we're doing and try and crystal ball our March. Let's do it. All right, so in terms of our overview, a pretty solid month, broadly in line with our expectations, to be honest. If we start with our income, it was again pretty much as expected. There are a few smallish contributions to our income this month in terms of a quarterly dividend, and which isn't in my tax rapid accounts, a premium bond win, that kind of stuff. But overall, pretty much in line with expectations. Also, as well, this is the first month since my wife's salary increase that she didn't have a bonus element in, just because they messed that up and had to do it over 2 months. So it's good to actually see that, and estimates broadly in line with my expectations as well. So that's good. Regular income costs, regular expense costs, again, broadly in line with expectations. The only real call out was that shopping was slightly higher. And that was because we did a big cupboard job basically in the middle of the month, but pretty good in terms of the predictions there. And I would say, generally speaking, my regular costs, as maybe you'd expect, have become my best forecasting. They've been somewhat regular, and you can kind of see here, even across 3 months, we're fairly good on the about £5 a month regular costs, so that's pleasing to see, I think. The two big costs that I have in that are mortgage, which is 2.2. Mortgage is technically 1.9, but we pay a little bit extra, and then anything to do with my daughter's school fees and after school club as well. Outside of that, other costs were significantly higher. There's a couple of reasons for this. First of all, I think I'd kind of forgotten that although my daughter's birthday is in late January, she sort of ended up having like 3 birthday weekends, because why not? But the latter two were into February and were sort of like a birthday round ours for her friends from school. And then we also had like mine and my wifey's friends and their kids round the weekend afterwards. So there was like 300 quid in sort of everything from like pizzas to sandwich platters to drinks, alcohol, that kind of stuff that I'd kind of overlooked. We also had a fairly expensive trip to IKEA, or not that expensive really. It was like £300. You can definitely spend a lot more in IKEA. We originally just went in to get some furniture, like a new bookcase for my daughter, but my wife can't resist IKEA. It's kind of one of those things where she just loves. So we bought things like bedding, pillows, that kind of good stuff. So that was another contributor. And then also my wife and I had our 13th year anniversary. We've both been super busy recently, so we did have a bit of a blowout. I booked the day off work. She had the afternoon off work, and we went and had a fancy meal and drinks and other things in Bond Street in London. So that was excellent fun. So a lot more expensive than originally planned, but actually it was totally worth it, and I had a really nice time. In terms of investments, slightly less than expected. This was mainly because we decided to pay off the undisputed or non-disputed parts of our service charges with our flat management company. For anyone who watched this video last month, you might recall that we held it. So this didn't actually feel too bad, because ultimately this was cost that we would have typically had in January, and they sat in our account for a month longer than expected. So we decided to, in order to make our point a bit clearer, to pay off everything that wasn't disputed. And we've gone back now to the management company and said, anything that's not yet paid is because, you've charged us for that stuff twice, and actually a long time ago as well. So I think something's gone wrong with their system. But anyway, we're disputing it, so we've raised it formally now. So we're up to 5 months worth of data now, so we're starting to see trends, I would say, but only really in the regular costs. I think it'll be really interesting once I blow it up across 6 months and see what's happened. Like, a lot of stuff has been all over the place with our income. My wife's bonus especially, I'm going to have my bonus at the end of next month. I've had some poker wins, some poker losses, that's been all over the place as well. And it's just been difficult to sort of see a clear trend outside of our regular costs. So again, maybe that's somewhat normal, where you have your regular and then your irregular that's a lot more chunky. But we'll see anyway. I'm going to do that at the end of April, so hopefully some interesting insights will come out. And then yeah, just the nearest thing there, about £5 a month. So that's again somewhat irregular, but broadly it's around that kind of level, and that's been quite consistent even before December as well. So that's the overview anyway. If that's what you came for, then feel free to skip the rest. Otherwise, we're going to just have a look at the details now of each one of these areas, as well as predicting March as well. All right, so yeah, no change on my wages. A little bit of a change on my wife's here, but again, that was broadly in line with what I was expecting at 5,200. Kind of had to guess last month on the split just because there was an element of my wife's bonus that didn't get paid. So that's why that goes over 2 months there. But it should now be fairly back to normal. However, saying that, the UK, it looks like they're changing the national insurance contributions again in from April, so there may well be another change again in April, although in our favour, so I expect that will be about £145 between myself and my wife per month, so I guess that's nice because everything else fiscally is not so nice, but we will again adjust those as and when they come. Beyond that, we've got a dividend from Games Workshop. Yeah, it's our one position held outside of our ISAs at the moment, and because it's a relatively small amount, I don't incur tax on it. So when that pays me dividends, I just withdraw it basically, and have it as cash into our bank account. It's quite nice. And to be fair, the agreement here I have with my wife is that any Games Workshop dividends goes towards a meal or a drink or etc. So this all just got wrapped up into our sort of blowout for our anniversary. We also had our first ever premium bond win, which was very exciting. A £50 win as well, not even just the 25. It felt really good. I'm not going to lie. I have like an expected value tracker, so this is sort of something I play with gambling, in poker and blackjack. So I sort of know how to run numbers and what our expected value is. So our win here basically restored us to our average expected value. So great. And actually, we already know for March that I won another £25, so that actually puts us a fair few months ahead of our expected value now. So it probably does mean I won't win another one for like 3 or 4 months, but we will be thankful for the premium bond wins as and when they happen. So it's also very exciting. In terms of our cash savings, yeah, that's pretty standard now. That's coming every month. We've got £4,000, which is the most we're allowed to have in a 7% Santander account. So that's a very nice yielding there. There was a big drop on my banking income, which is basically cashback, and that's mainly because for the last few months until the end of January, I was loading up my credit card for something called stoozing, which is when you take advantage of 0% repayment periods in credit cards. So I've got mine for 15 months, so another 11 months to go, I think. But now that I've basically maxed out or hit my target for credit card spending, I've been doing a lot less. So therefore, there was a big drop there because I'm not getting cash back on my credit card spending now. Still, that's okay. And yeah, fine with it basically. It was broadly speaking expected. And then last year I had other, which I was doing a bit of admin and realised I hadn't received some money from actually betting. So I don't even know now. 6-7 months ago, I put £100 onto Sky Bet, and they gave me a little bit of extra. That's why I decided to do it. And I was really testing whether I could make any money on sports betting. To be honest, I made a profit of £5.11, but that's only because I got like £35 in free bets. Otherwise, I would have lost money on my betting. Football was basically a disaster. NFL was pretty good. And rugby was also pretty good. It was profitable on both of those, even without any of the bonus. But football was apparently not my sport. So either way, like it was clear to me that even if I have an edge maybe on NFL and football, on rugby, that I didn't have enough of one to sort of take it too seriously. So I'll probably continue to bet small amounts as and when. But to be honest with you, with betting, I find it's you want to kind of like not make it too easy to bet, so I tend not to do online betting for a serious amount. And even when I did this, I was like telling my wife, basically just to make sure I was sensible. I think I am very sensible with betting, but it's always one of those things that I'm very mindful of how addictive and damaging it can be. Fun in moderation for sure, though, at least for me. So yeah, we withdrew our money here, and this was on my very final bet. I'd already withdrawn everything else many months ago. And I actually had £5 on the 49ers to win the Super Bowl, but having watched both of the divisional finals, so the semi-finals basically for the Super Bowl, I just thought the 49ers actually had no hope whatsoever. However, they played really well, but it was the right decision as it turned out to cash out because the Chiefs won. So I took my basically 2-1 win instead of my 7-1 that I would have got if I'd just held the bet and then they would have won. But that's a long history there for basically a very small sum of money on the 1693. But you can kind of see there, the bottom 5 highlights are only sort of £150, not even that between them. So broadly here, everything was in line with expectations. All right, so as I already mentioned, there isn't a ton to add for the regular cost this month. Most things were in line with expectations, so we've only actually got 3 highlights to discuss. As I touched on already, the shopping was a bit high because of a large cupboard shop. The other thing though, actually, like we get a lot of my daughter's clothes from our local supermarket, and normally I'm quite good at sort of getting in there quite quickly and working out roughly what the clothes spend was against the food spend. But I was very busy during February, and so it just meant that I didn't do it basically. Where I just sort of saw the shopping, but didn't really have the time or the energy to work out what the clothes shopping was. So I suspect this figure is slightly too high, probably by about 70-80 pounds. But I decided just to leave as it was. And we'll just wrap it all up together in this month. And you'll see later on in the video for the irregular costs that the clothing spend this month is quite low. And again, I think that kind of offsets each other as a result. As we touched on here, decided to pay the rent element of our managed flat charges. Honestly, I think our managed service charges are extremely high. £1,000. This is per quarter as well, right? So it's not a trivial cost. It's probably only about 0.7% of the value of our flat, but still, it seems really high for what we get. And then on top of that, we also had the heating and energy there, the H&E. So if I'm honest with myself, like I do think the £200 is probably too low. Like I think it should be a little bit higher. I don't think it should be the additional 800, which is what they've somehow managed to charge us in sort of duplicated invoices, etc. Probably somewhere between those two numbers. For now, though, we paid the amount that we could reconcile and understand and wasn't dated a year ago. So for now, we've sent them a query about a week ago, and we're just waiting on a reply from that. So we're not going to pay anything else until they basically give us an answer as to what's gone wrong and whether we actually owe them anything or not. I've got no idea. So yeah, pretty boring. Everything else in line with expectations, and yeah, nice. All right. So in terms of our other costs here, I'm going to start with the gifts, which is really high. However, as I sort of touched on, you've got like £300 of this is related to my daughter's birthday, but not even really for my daughter. It's really for like hosting and drinking, food, that kind of stuff. Just all adds up fairly quickly. Two cakes as well, just etc. One of the cakes as well was like £45 from Waitrose, and we actually thought it was very good. It's shaped like a mushroom, so it was pretty cool. My daughter really likes Smurfs, so we just kind of turned it into a Smurf house, right? Because they all live in mushrooms. So that was a cheap birthday cake as far as kids' birthday cakes go, because they're like wedding cakes. Just like put the word kid's birthday or wedding in front of the word cake, and it suddenly is like 10 times the cost. Drives me mad. And then yeah, we had a really nice afternoon where me and my wife went out. I had a beautiful cigar in a place called Cavendish Number 6, which is a really cool little whiskey and cigar shop in central London. And yeah, super nice meal, Michelin star restaurant, and then some drinks as well. One of my favourite whiskies, so that was awesome. Really good. Honestly, no regrets at all. It was actually bigger than I was expecting. I was kind of penciling like 600, but again, we had a great time, and hopefully as well, my daughter really enjoyed her birthday, so that's great. Eating out again. When I looked at the eating out, like there is one or two like after work drinks, and what tends to happen is like whoever is picking up our daughter will meet in one of our local kind of, well, there's one really good local wine shop, and then whoever's not got daughter duty can have some drinks, and the other person's a bit more sensible. So we had like a couple of like £40 shops from there, but broadly the rest of it is just kind of like coffees, cakes, sandwiches, etc. So to be honest with you, like when I get to the 6 month review, I'm fairly sure I'm going to be pretty horrified by this number. Like it's going to be several thousand. And I mean, when I was originally doing this figure, it was like £200 to £300 was my budgeted expectation, and I guess that's why we do these kind of things, to kind of learn and discover, but they are way higher than I would have expected. So at the end of 6 months again, we'll have a proper review, maybe I'll have a chat with myself and with my wife, and we'll see if we can sort of target trimming this a little bit. We probably could if we were a bit more disciplined, but also it gets to the point where, like, again, we all work hard, and it's a case of, well, do we really need to skimp on a cake or a sandwich, or I don't know. But again, it does speak of ill discipline, to be honest, and it is both me and my wife. So there's maybe something we can do in terms of improvement there. And then other this month is also very high. £300 of this though is related to our IKEA shop. And again, I put it in brackets with ... just because this is a very wifey shop, as it turned out. So that was that was kind of funny. And my wife was like, she's had bonuses recently and didn't really do anything too flashy with her bonus. So it's like, okay, if you really want some pillows and some new bedding, and I was like, fine, we can get those things. So in fairness, we've not done any of that kind of shopping for many years. So it was quite nice, I suppose, to have that top up on the girly touches in our shared home. So that was more expensive than expected, but still, it was fine for that. And but all that added up to like 1.8k, 1.9k against expectations of 600. So that was our main deviation this month for sure. Some expected, most of it expected, just not quite to the degree that it actually was in the end. But should more or less be a one-off. But again, there seems to be a recurring one-offs that all add up in month on month. So we'll see next month when we do the 6-month review. All right, and then to round off February, we've got our investments. So mine and my wife's ISAs remain full for another month, so we can't do anything till April, hence the zeros there. I decided to add 200 to my daughter's ISA. That's in the hope that our transfer from between brokerages will go through, so I don't have to worry about like £100 sitting in the wrong place. So I decided just to do 200 while we had the money available, and I was depositing money anyway. Relatively minor in the scheme of things. I was quite pleased with the 4K premium bond top up. I was kind of hoping for somewhere between like 3 to 5, so I guess it's in that window. But I was relatively pleased that we were able to do 4K because I was kind of thinking it would be on the lower end. So yeah, happy with that to be honest. And that was paid in, so it'll qualify for the April draw. So now I've got like 11.5k in premium bonds that qualify. So hopefully we will start winning some big prizes. We can hope. And then last one here, the cash position. And again, like after my wife's bonus, we put a lot of money into cash savings. We've gradually been a bit like relaxed, should we say? Like we bought a holiday and things like that, right? So we have been sort of reducing our cash savings as a result, still to comfortable levels. It's all fine for anyone who watched my wealth video will see. But we did decide to move some money from the cash savings, 1.1k in the middle of the month, and that was to cover the the rental and the heating and energy charges from our flat management company. And then there was we also put £200 into our cash Santander savings. We have like a monthly saver. It's only 5%, but it's still a decent 5% and forms part of our emergency funds. So overall, that meant sort of 900 net. I think that will be one of our last material cash savings negatives. As far as I can see anyway, but again, we'll see what happens over the next month or two and holiday related. So for now, not a ton of movement there, just those three things. And that's everything for February. But if you stick with me just for a couple of minutes longer, we're going to try and crystal ball our March expectations as well. All right, so in terms of expectations for March, I do expect our income to be higher. That's primarily because I'm getting my year-end bonus. To be fair, I am salary sacrificing 75% of it or so. So what that will mean is that a significant amount won't show on this video because this video only shows stuff that hits my bank account. With salary sacrificing, it gets taken out before it's paid to me. So what will actually happen with that is it will show in my April wealth video once it hits my my private pension in April. So, but still, I'm going to keep a couple of thousand to myself for spending and fun. Outside of that, regular costs 4.8k. Definitely one of our lower months to the point I had to double check everything. But as far as I can see, we're fairly well covered with things like shopping. I have very little of my daughter's additional sort of clubs and activities. I do have sort of a gymnastics top up, but that's only like 50 quid for several months, so not particularly big there. And broadly speaking, yeah, fairly non-heavy month when it comes to it. Like typically it's our January, April quarterly bills that tend to be the highest, and similarly the March, June, etc. tends to be the lowest. So this is expected, but it's very nice just because that's less than we've been paying for the last few months. I decided here to put the other costs at 1.6k this month. There's two main reasons for that. My wife and I have decided that we're going to have an uplift to our holiday. We're already going to a 5-star hotel, but we've decided that we're going to basically have their premium version of the 5-star hotel. Really what this means is unlimited, very nice drinks, which to be honest with you, considering it's like an 11-day stay, I can very easily spend, £100 a day on fancy drinks. It won't be difficult at all when we look at what's included. So I can hold my drink, my wife can as well, and whoever again isn't on daughter duty will be able to have a very merry holiday, and then we'll basically switch days. Tends to be how my wife and I will do it. That aside, there are some other perks, by the way, as well, but that's the real value add. We do get things like personal check-ins. The kids club becomes free as a result instead of having to pay like several £100s there. So it all makes sense basically when we ran the numbers and looked at it. So I expect that to land. I did decide to only do 300 for eating out. If I'm honest with you, my daughter actually came up with this word. We're a bit eated out. So yeah, we're just a bit eaten out. We've been out quite a lot over February and recently, and to be honest, we were kind of now sort of really in crunch time to try and get our work as sorted as possible before we go on holiday. So I just don't think we're going to have a ton of time to do much eating out, and we'll basically be very busy, probably quite stressed, in the latter parts of March. So that's the assumption there. Again, we'll see because our costs have not been particularly good at forecasting, so hopefully this is a little bit better. In terms of investments, I've gone for a pretty ambitious 5k, but I think it is okay because, again, there's going to be a couple of thousand extra in my bonus, so that's going to cover anything. You can still see there that the surplus still leaves 2k at the end of it. So yeah, I think that's a good target. I'd love to do 5k, and then after we do 5k, split between premium bonds and cash savings. Then it's going to be sort of, no worries about spending on holiday. We're going to have a couple of thousand, and that should be fine. I think my plan is to actually, I've got like 12k on a stoozed 0% credit card. I think what I'm going to do is pay like $1,000 off, maybe even two. And then when we go on holiday, I can just use my credit card with 0% foreign exchange fees and again get some cash back and that kind of stuff as well. So I think that's going to be the plan. I'm still kind of working on it. I get paid on the 22nd of March. So when I know exactly how much I'm going to get paid, I'll start doing some proper plannings. But I think that's, again, broadly speaking, the direction of travel. And then once we get into April's paydays, etc., we'll move back away from premium bonds and start focusing on our ISAs as our primary investment tool. Premium bonds is fun and it's an important emergency fund because it isn't impacted by the market. But the ISAs is really where our long-term future is, so that they are the priority, and we'll start prioritizing them again in April. But for March, that's broadly, I think, what we're going to be expecting. We'll see how we do in a month's time. But as for now, that's everything I have to add. Hopefully that's interesting. I know a few people really are interested in these videos, and other people just want more stock videos, and that's totally okay. We're going to just do a little bit of both. For me, again, I get different value out of both of them, and I think especially when we do start looking across a 6-month period, it's going to be pretty fascinating, maybe a bit scary. But again, that's why you do these kind of budgets. So something to look forward to there as well. All that said, thank you very much for watching, everyone. I've been the Boss Hog, and good luck with your income and cost management. Bye for now.